As we are thinking about the fact that we are travelers on the journey of faith, the journey of life, our minds might wander to those long road trips that we have taken, where the car is filled with leftovers from drive-through windows, where we have heard every song on the radio at least 3 times, where we've done everything we know to do to distract ourselves from the miles that are rolling up on the odometer. And then we find ourselves just gazing out the window, wondering if we can drive one more hour. That there are experiences in the journey of life and faith where we get to those moments where we're not sure we can press forward, that we can keep going, or more acutely, that we can deal with the challenges or heartache that we have experienced. That rather we'd just like to pull over on the side of the road and stop, to almost give up. That it's out of the depths of that kind of feeling that the Psalms can be helpful to us. For the Psalms are bread for the traveler, giving us strength and guidance in so many ways for every experience we might have in this life. And one psalm that helps us cry out to God for help when we want to just pull over on the side of the road and stop is Psalm 130. Where the psalmist says, "Out of the depths I cry to you, O Lord. Lord, hear my voice. Let your ears be attentive to the voice of my supplications. If you, O Lord, should mark iniquities, Lord, who could stand? But there is forgiveness with you, so that you may be revered. I wait for the Lord, my soul waits, and in his word I hope. My soul waits for the Lord more than those who watch for this morning. More than those who watch for the morning. O Israel, hope in the Lord, for with the Lord there is steadfast love, and with him is great power to redeem. It is he who will redeem Israel from all its iniquities." We know what the psalmist means. We might not know specifically what the psalmist is going through, but we know what the psalmist means when the psalm says, "I cry to you, O Lord. I wait and I watch." We know because we've had those experiences in life where those are the only words that make sense. Those are the only words that describe what we go through. And Psalm 30 is quite bold. It is quite audacious for me to cry out to God, the creator of the universe, that as small as I am in this particular moment in history, the psalmist invites us to cry out to God for help. And our cries are heard by God. Whenever we experience disappointment or despair, we might doubt whether anyone hears us. Because when we run up against those emotions, it feels as if nobody sees us. Nobody can hear us, that we feel absolutely alone. And it reminds us of the experience of the Hebrew people in Egypt, what they must have been thinking as they cried out for God. Because it says, God heard the cries of the people and went to them. Now, we might assume, based on our experiences in life, that in order for God to hear our cries for help, that we have to first get everything right, that we cannot make a mistake, that we have to accomplish something along the way to project confidence or success, that we have to do these things for God to pay attention to us, because it is why others pay attention to us in this life. But that is not true for God. God hears our cries because God has created us and loves us. But the psalm reminds us that there is waiting. There is watching. I wait for the Lord, my soul waits, and in His word I hope. My soul waits for the Lord more than those who watch for the morning. The Hebrew word for wait and the Hebrew word for hope are quite similar. That they really are interconnected. One cannot have hope without waiting. And perhaps one cannot have waiting without hope. That every time we hope, there is waiting involved. That hope is not instant. It's not like instant coffee or instant grits. It takes time. That despair doesn't wait. Despair gives up. But hope is willing to wait. Eugene Peterson says that the heart of this psalm is that there is no trouble which is so severe it can cut a person off from God. So we wait. We cry out for God and we hope. Because there is no sin so horrible, no tragedy so terrible, no doubt so great that it can cut us off from the love of God. For that reason alone, we can cry out for help. There are times, though, when it feels like we have run out of hope. Perhaps an addiction is getting the best of us or the best of someone that we love. Perhaps failing feels more familiar than succeeding. Perhaps fear overwhelms us as we weigh our options for a decision. Or perhaps there is conflict in a relationship that seems to never end. But God's grace can come to us when we cry out for help. That sometimes it is in crying out for help that we can see things anew. That we can begin again. And sometimes we not only feel like we have run out of hope, we have run out of words. We don't know what to say. We don't know how to say it. So the gift to us from the psalmist is that we don't know. We don't have to know what to say. We can simply cry out for God's grace, which can clear the way to see the situation with new eyes, to see it through the grace of God that is always with us. It is, as the psalmist says, out of the depths I cry to you, O Lord. Lord, hear my voice. Let your ears be attentive to the voice of my supplications. That when we don't know what to say or how to say it, we can start right there. We can borrow those words of the psalmist, and perhaps they can lead us to our own words. that we might begin in our prayer, out of the depths I cry to you, O Lord. Lord, hear my voice. Let your ears be attentive to the voice of my pain, because I cannot find any relief. Or to the voice of my despair, because life keeps giving me setbacks. To the voice of my fears, because I am not sure what to do next. The psalm can be bread for the traveler, because we can borrow its words and it can lead us to our own, eventually leading us to renewed hope, teaching us that we can cry out to God for help. That there is a difference between our pictures and our journals. Our pictures, well, everyone is smiling. Everyone is celebrating. Everybody looks good. That we don't put a picture in a photo album where we missed a button on our shirt, or our hair is out of place, or we have a terrible expression on our face. But our journals, we express our emotions in our journals. We share our disappointment. We put our fears down on the page. That our prayers are more like our journals than they are our pictures. And for that reason, they can lead us to hope, because they can lead us to God. As Jesus said, I came for the sick, not for those who are well. And by saying that, Jesus didn't mean to put people in two different categories, the sick over here and the healthy over there. Jesus meant that in all sorts of ways, we all need the love of God. That we need bread for our travels, even if it means crying out to God, waiting for God's Spirit to come to us, because that is where we find hope. Amen.